when I say being the egg, when we think about ovulation, when we ovulate, or when conception even happens, what happens at conception is not that the sperm, the fastest sperm gets to the egg, but it's the egg that chooses the sperm, right? We got this all wrong in sex ed. They taught us so wrong. But the egg chooses the chosen sperm and then releases something called chemoattractant. So it's like chemical messengers being like, hey, you are the chosen one, come fertilize me. And so the same goes for us women when we're dating. We need to be the egg and then choose the sperm that we want to have them pursue us, right? But if we're always trying to be the sperm, this isn't the natural order of the way that the feminine works. And yeah, it's like, and obviously inviting the men in that way, but doing that by being a magnet to it and not like chasing. There's a different energy there.
Welcome to Rooted and Divine with me, Katelyn Paine, a podcast for women ready to shed old identities, heal, and align with their soul. Each week, we'll explore spiritual growth, healing, and personal stories that empower you to embody your truth. Rooted in humanity and fully alive as a divine soul. Rebecca, my dear sister and friend and former coach, I'm so happy to have you on the Rooted and Divine podcast. I couldn't think of a better person to have on than you. You just exemplify so many of the things that I want to help build in the world. So I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here and yeah, open up this podcast. I'm so excited for you.
I am excited as well. I've been dying to know since I did work with you, but we feel like we didn't always have like tons of one-on-one conversation. And then I've just been watching you grow on your Instagram. I think I started following you when you were like at 20K followers, and like, what are you at now? Like, I feel like you have exploded.
We're at like
Yeah,
6K now. Yeah, it's been
that's
kind of crazy the last
amazing.
few years where
Like, you
it's
went
been
fast. Like, you started your pod. I feel like I'm like, did I come? I think I worked with you 2 years ago. How long have you started?
so.
When did you birth Bloom Womb?
I think it was probably almost like 3-ish years ago now, maybe almost like 4, probably 3.5 years ago. And then I started taking like one-on-one clients like 6 months into like actually starting the brand online. Yeah, so it's been like maybe 3 years in the making of this brand and just growing it on Instagram and growing my clientele and my offerings and stuff. Yeah.
It's been so fun to watch, and I've been dying to know. I'm like, do you know your astrology? I feel like you would know. Like, what is your
Yeah.
sun, moon, and
So my sun is Aries and then my moon is Scorpio as well as my ascendant. So I have double Scorpio in my
oh my
chart.
gosh, that makes so much sense. Do you know your human design?
I'm a generator.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, but
right?
I honestly don't know much about human design. It's something where, you like learn, I keep trying to learn it and then I can't like get into it for some reason, but I know I'm a generator. That's as much as I know.
I love that. I feel like
Yeah.
when you know you wanna learn something, you can't get into it, I just feel like it's not the time. Like, for me, like, Spirit's like, "No, we're closing this door. Your
Totally.
energy needs to go somewhere else. This is
Yes.
not your path right now."
Yep. I agree. Totally.
Knowing that you're an Aries and Scorpio, I feel like you exemplify that so well on your Instagram page, and you're so good about diving deep into like, "Hey, like, let's feel our emotions. Let's let it move through the body. Like, let's not let any." And honestly, my experience with working with the womb, like, you can't not go there when you work with the womb. Like, it just happens.
Totally. I think also like the working with the womb, I think this is why so many of us have like so many women have like been divorced to work with the womb because it brings up so much, and a lot of the times it's like, "Whoa, like, I don't even know what to do with this." So, obviously, it's easier to just disconnect, from down there, but, yeah, it definitely is. It's like once you tap in, it's just starts a whole journey for sure. Yeah.
It does. And what led me to you originally was I was having a conversation with a girlfriend, and like, she had just said something like, "You know, if someone asked me to draw the female reproductive system, I don't think that I could do it. Like, I don't actually really know." She's like, "But if someone asked me to draw the male reproductive system, I for sure could do it." I know
That's
what the
wild.
male reproductive system, that's drawn all over graffitied everywhere, you know what I mean, in, like, junior high and high school, and I was,
Right.
like, really thinking about that. I feel like my first real awakening with the womb was when I decided to do a home birth and just knew, like, when I thought about giving birth and then for me, when I thought about doing it in a hospital, it felt very disempowering for me, and there's no shade on whatever you choose to do, and any woman should birth wherever they feel most comfortable, but for me, I was like, "This doesn't feel good for my body," and so it was really that was really the first reclamation of, like, I know that I was born to do this, like, my
Yeah.
body was made to do this, and
Yeah.
I don't want anyone in my space who will tell me otherwise.
Mhm.
And then I feel like that was the first experience that I had that was, like, awakening to this, like, really primal power, and then the
Uh,
second one was just kind of slowly over time, after I had babies, I started to get, like, heavier and more painful periods,
uh,
and it was almost like the birthing portal, like, just connected me to my ancestors,
uh,
it was like it connected me to the womb of women before me.
uh,
And that's really where not that when I started having painful periods, I wasn't ever like, "Well, this is my ancestors," but it
right.
just bringing up more awareness around, like, what is happening to me down there? What is this system that I have?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy though that most women will only connect to their wombs once they give birth or like are in pregnancy? Like before that, it's just kind of this untapped thing. And then once they do, they're like, whoa, like there's this whole thing that like lives inside of me and that can create life. And yeah, or unless you have like really painful bleeds or irregular cycles or whatever else it may be. But for the most part, we don't tap into our wombs unless because we weren't taught to, right? Unless, like, you now are in a process of, like, needing to learn about it or needing to wanting to cycle track, whatever it may be. But, yeah, I love that that was your, like, initiation
Yeah,
into womb. What a beautiful way to get into it, you know?
it was, and then it kind of felt like I remember driving with my husband and being like, "Babe, I need to know this womb. Like, what is I have a portal inside of me." And that's when I found you on Instagram, and then you had posted, like, taking one-on-one clients, and spirit just always works with me like that, like, I saw it, and everything inside of me was like, "I'm signing up for that." I had not been following you for like, I literally followed you and then messaged you, and then
I
signed
love
up to
that.
work with you. Like, I
Yeah,
wasn't like I had been following you for a long time, like, I was like, "This is" it just felt very like, spirit was like, "And here we go, here's the next step." So for our listeners who are like, "Okay, what is the why do I need to get to know the womb? What is that? What is the cycle syncing?" Like, can you just give everyone, like, a beginner's overview of what we're talking about?
totally, yeah, so the womb is another word for, like, your uterus or your reproductive organs, right? Females' reproductive organs, and when we're talking about cycle syncing, cycle tracking, so women work on a monthly hormonal cycle. On average, it's about 28 days. And throughout the month, we have different hormones at play that will shift our whole entire personality, eating habits, libido, energy, emotional world. Like all these things shift because our hormones start shifting. And so, really, the main two hormones at play here is estrogen and progesterone. The first half of the cycle, you are more dominant in estrogen. That second half, you're more dominant in progesterone. And so these different hormones bring out different versions of yourself pretty much, which is really cool once you understand them and you can start playing with them. You can start tapping into them. You can start actually going through this like cycle of death and rebirth every single month. And I mean, if we think about your bleed really is this time of month where you are going through sort of a death because your body is shedding an egg, and with that, the uterine lining that wasn't needed because there's no life that was fertilized. That egg wasn't fertilized, and so your body's going through a death process. And then we do the whole thing over again, and we rebuild our uterine lining, and we release an egg at ovulation. And with that, we are really going through this like life, death cycle. That's what a woman goes through every single month. And so when we can tap into that cycle, that process of like feeling our energy rise, going into ovulation, then coming back down, going into our bleed, that literally will just change your whole entire way of like life and living because it's almost like you're tapping into this like, yeah, this life force energy that lives what's inside of you. and we've been taught to, or we just oftentimes have been so divorced to it because we haven't been educated on that's what happens in our bodies. Yeah, and if we compare it to a man's hormone cycle, they go through a 24-hour hormone cycle. So every single day they have the same hormones at play. And so they don't shift a bunch throughout the month. They're very steady in that way. And there's no better right way, or it's just the way that we're designed. And it's so beautiful that we're that designed that way, because with that, we can really find our power as women when we're moving through that monthly cycle, and men can find their power moving through their daily cycle, right? But yeah, so that's really, I guess, a very short overview. Yeah, and really, again, when you start tapping into those shifts of where we move through, or with what we move through every single month, you will find yourself having a lot easier of time in the way that you approach life in general, because you're not moving against a rhythm that isn't your rhythm. Yeah, so that's a little very, very brief overview, but we can obviously dive into it even deeper.
Yeah, and that was when I started working with you, you had invited me to journal every day and, like, connect to, like, the day of my cycle, and, like and I had always known the days of my period, but I was always unaware of, like, when I was in follicular or ovulation, but always knew, like, "Oh, I'm about to start my period." So, always aware of, like, the very end of luteal, and that was so helpful for me because I just realized, I mean, our world has really been set up for people to just live like men.
Mhm,
Women have been taught to live like men. I know you speak about this so much on your Instagram, like, just go, just dive into it. Your period is a hassle. Like, just
mhm,
plug the womb up with the tampon, like, get going on with your day. And truly reconnecting to the natural rhythms of my body was
mhm.
so empowering for me. Like,
Yeah,
empowering for my whole family. And empowering for my marriage because it was like, so now we could just my husband like, I could just be so clear with my husband of like, "Here's what you can expect from me." Like, I can't be on all the time. I am not meant to be on all the time.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that as women, we've, like, taken the period and it's been seen as, like, kind of a weakness or, like, a hassle or, you know, I just
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
this most like, we are these beautiful, energetic masters that have
Mhm,
the ability to alchemize every single month, and when you can tap into that cycle so when you said, like, it helps you fall into your rhythms, like, what I wanna convey to people is, like, it literally helps you become a master of alchemization, like, that is what we as women are here to do. You so, I don't know if you have anything to say about that, but
Yeah, no, I love that, and the master of alchemization, that's such a beautiful way to put it, because we women are alchemizers, and I think what has happened over time is where we that's like the essence of the feminine, is like alchemizing and bringing in, and also when we think about the feminine, understanding that there's the light feminine qualities of like the nurturing, the caring, the romanticizing life, the making everything beautiful and special. And there's the dark feminine qualities of like alchemizing, transmutation, being in touch with our shadows, like anger, female rage, like that's part of, and the feminine itself, like we need both the light and the dark. And so often we women have only been taught to be the light feminine because that's appropriate to our society. And also the dark, incorporating both, is what makes a woman really powerful and stands in her power, and doesn't need external sources or external validation or whatever it may be. Like it's within her, right? And so when we learn to like tap into that process, that we can actually alchemize our own emotions, whatever it may be, right? We start just like knowing our power. We start embodying that more. And every cycle is like a journey you can tap into and feel yourself moving through that. And with the seasons that like life takes you through, you have your own cyclical way of like being able to process it by yourself or within your own container, essentially. And so, yeah, when we're looking at like your cycle, and so it's like, okay, how do we do that? So looking at your cycle, just like understanding that when you're coming into your cycle, day one of your cycle is the first day that you're bleeding. And when we're moving from like, you were saying, like we have, actually, no, I'm going to explain this differently. So when we're moving into our new cycle, we're having like our estrogen that's starting to rise, and this is where all these light feminine qualities can come up, where we're just wanting to be in the world, we're wanting to show ourselves off more, we're feeling more magnetic, or, like, romanticizing life, right? Like, all the things that are just like, "Oh, we feel so good." And this is when we're coming into ovulation as well, and oftentimes ovulation is the time that we're feeling the best. And then once ovulation happens, we move into our luteal phase, and I think most women have the hardest time during their luteal phase because this is where these dark feminine qualities arise of like alchemization, transmutation, being in touch with your shadow world. Like all these things that we've just been taught to disconnect from, that's not appropriate to feel, that we can't be primal, we can't explore our like shadows and our anger and all these, like, things that, yeah, we're just don't seem appropriate or feminine, right? And so coming into your luteal phase, when if the more you can start connecting to that version of yourself, that wild woman, the easier that cycle and that process will become, that luteal phase will become. And you start moving into the void, that luteal void, in a way where you're like, "Okay, like, I feel myself coming into my power so that when I'm coming into my bleed, I can release what no longer serves me." And that's really how we alchemize and how we transmutate, like, anything that doesn't serve us and bringing it into that process of, like, life and death that we move through. But, yeah, it's acknowledging that and maybe asking yourself, like, "What is my relationship like when it comes to more of those dark feminine qualities, and have I suppressed those, or do I allow myself to step into that and actually feel what is present when I'm moving through the second half of my cycle, or do I suppress it, or do I avoid it, or do I numb it by maybe overeating sugar or caffeine or alcohol, whatever it may be, right? Yeah, so just being really present with what's then that's really what cycle tracking and cycle syncing is, like you were saying, like that daily check-in with your cycle. This is what I teach all my clients. It's just checking in with your body every single day and like journaling on it, taking note of it, seeing what it's doing. And that presence really will shift something in you because you'll notice yourself moving through this energy, this cycle, this rhythm, right? Uh,
Yeah. I think that that's I wanna riff on the luteal phase a little bit because I feel
Yeah.
like we said the dark feminine qualities are the ones that are the hardest for women to be okay with, which is being okay with feeling anger. I'm gonna give this example. Last night, I actually was at a womb healing ceremony last night, and my sister
No.
was with me, my littlest sister. And a year ago, I held a little ceremony at my house and we like tapped into anger. And after the ceremony, she was like, that was so uncomfortable for me. Like, I don't, what are you feeling angry about? Like, she was so disconnected from her anger that she was like, what? I don't even understand why we would be angry at anything. Like, everything's fine. And she's always carried the qualities more of like the youngest, easy, light going, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the
Right.
littlest sister that's like the little princess fairy and everyone loves me and I don't like riff anything, you know? And so
Totally, yeah.
compared to a year later, last night, she tapped into this deep anger. And I
Wow.
was just like hearing her on, like, why is this important? Like, why do women need to go there? In your experience with your clients, like, how have you seen this liberate women?
Well, anger is really that emotion within us that shows us where we have neglected ourselves. And it's where when we suppress feeling it, well, okay, no, when we're like suppressing our needs, like kind of your sister, right? She sounds like maybe, I mean, I don't really know her, but maybe there's a tendency of like being the nice girl, the people pleaser, the not speaking up for her needs. I feel like that happens a lot with younger siblings, or even just like happens a lot for women, especially
Yeah.
women that have yet to process that little girl in them that like actually needed to set their boundaries in some regard or some shape or form, right? And so when we always play into the nice girl and the not setting boundaries or yeah, people pleasing, overextending ourselves to others, we neglect ourselves, and that's really where anger can start just being stored in our body without maybe we're even conscious around it. But I think this is why connecting to your anger for women in particular is so, and for men too. Men have their own journey with anger and learning how to harness the anger in a healthy way. And for us obviously too, but it teaches us how to start really tuning into what feels good and what doesn't, because when we start feeling our anger, when we come into a healthy relationship with it and we release it in a healthy way without it, like, us yelling at our partners or taking it out on someone else, our parents, whatever it may be, but we just find healthy somatic ways to release it from our bodies. What lies under that is often grief or sadness or just all the realizations of how we haven't been able to take care of ourselves and our own needs. And so anger can be or is so beautiful to like having a rage ceremony or having a way of just like really claiming, like, "This is how I haven't showed up for myself, I'm going to start," and just, like, allowing the anger to anchor that in that way, you know? Um, is really yeah, what brings women into that connection with, like, being able to set healthy boundaries, no longer being the people pleaser, being the nice girl, but, like, yeah, being able to be like, "Look, like, I'm gonna take care of myself, I'm gonna take care of my own needs here, first and foremost," because that's actually what is going to sustain me in the long run and everyone around me. So yeah, if in the luteal phase in particular, when you feel I mean, I think all of us have had an experience in the luteal phase where we feel angry or irritated or there's just this emotion within us. And we're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, like you know, you just wanna throw something at the wall, I don't know. But, like, allowing yourself to actually tap into that and, like, punching the pillow, having your own little tantrum, like, letting that little girl be heard in that way versus suppressing it because you don't think it's the correct thing to feel, like, that anger is bad. It's like, it's just another emotion that wants to be heard, and why do we say that something is bad or good? Like, it's just an emotion, so let it be that, let it just be heard in that way, you know? Um so yeah, that's really I'd say one of the most healing processes that a woman I think will go through is, like, feeling their anger and the wild woman, you know? Yeah.
100% because the truth is I think that I mean, there's so many things that we deserve to be angry about. And then
Yeah.
women have always been taught, like, okay, you can only be a little bit, like, just be a little bit and then pull it back. Or, like, if you go too hard, you're unhinged. If you go too hard, you're unstable. But when we
Uh,
think about the way that we've been suppressed just in our day and age, and let alone through the centuries of women who have been suppressed, like, and if you think about I was in my grandmother's womb, you know what I mean? Like, we have collective trauma stored within the womb, and it needs to be felt and alchemized in order to return to your fullest, truest, most authentic expression. And one thing that I've noticed with women as well is it's like what I think is so beautiful about our cycles is that it continues. We don't just have one bleed and then we're done. Like, it's like the body's like, "Okay, we got the anger out. We got what's not serving us out." It's like it is a continual cycle of
uh,
learning to flow with the emotions of your life and knowing that it doesn't mean anything about you. Just because you feel angry doesn't mean that you're
mhm,
unstable or you're
right.
crazy. It means that you're human, and it means that you are a woman who is like
Uh,
a warrior of the light who is meant to birth new realities through her womb, and we cannot do that if we're scared to feel an emotion. And when we
totally.
feel emotions, we're also doing it on behalf of the wombs that we have been in previous to us. Like, it creates an
Uh,
entire chain link backwards and forwards. And so that's for me, I know when I really started to be like, I used to really believe like, "Oh, maybe I have anxiety or maybe I have depression," right? But in my luteal phase, like, when you just forget that you're a woman for a moment in a cycle and you're like, "Wait, am I depressed? Do I have anxiety? Am I do
mhm,
I need medication?" Like, I am feeling like my whole world is crumbling around me,
uh-huh,
and you have that moment, and I think it's getting out of that consciousness and being just, like, letting like, flowing with it. Like, you become the queen of your body, and you're like, "This is exactly what I'm meant to do." And I've
uh,
noticed, I'm married, and I've noticed that I not only do it on behalf of my womb and my own karma, my ancestors, but, like, I feel like sometimes I do it on behalf of my husband. Like, if there's, like,
uh,
something hard that we're going through together, I use my bleed to harness that energy and, like, transmute it for the both of us.
for sure. I mean, yeah, we women transmute so much for men, 100%. I mean, they hold us through it. That's why we
Yeah.
love our men, right? But
Yes.
especially, like, our partners and the partners that we've, like, are having active sex with, like, you're transmuting that in your womb every single time, like, that their energy's in there too, so 100%. Yeah, I love that you bring that up. Um, yeah, there's something else that you were saying around, the just the going through that process of, like, using your bleed and oh, this is what you're saying. The whole, like, transmuting it with for your ancestors and, like, we women used to be put in insane asylums because of our wandering womb is what they called it, like hysteria, right? And us being hysteric and us being crazy for having these different feelings and emotions that come up, and so they literally would, like, have full on lobotomies on women and take their brains out because they thought something was wrong with them. Like, of course, we all have trauma to feel these emotions and we have suppressed them because in the past we were put in an insane asylum, And so I'm sure collectively we're still healing from that and like right now reclaiming the whole like we're not crazy. We're just women going through different processes and it's okay. It's natural to feel that. And the more that we can like not resist it, but just move with it, the easier it will also be. I have so many women that come to me that are like, my luteal phases are awful. I have like anxiety, depression, like you were saying. And then they just start learning about like cycle tracking and like the different versions that come through for them. And they just like start meeting themselves there. And their luteal phases become a breeze or a lot easier because they really acknowledge it and they don't have resistance to it anymore. So much of what we think is wrong with us, hormonally especially, is often just like emotionally. Like, this is why I use so much somatic and emotional work with my work and not so much like, obviously, we look at the physical aspect too and like, okay, what are you doing? How are you nourishing your body? All that stuff too. But first and foremost, we look at your emotional world and the way that you've approached that because sometimes it's just an easy switch how you tend to your emotions, and then it shifts the way that your hormones show up, which is amazing.
Yeah. It just goes back to, I think, like, everything is created spiritually before it's created physically, and so I think those underlying energies are what are creating like, the hormone ecosystem. Is if
Yeah,
we're constantly suppressing, the energy is getting stuck, which creates a certain hormone ecosystem, which might serve us or might build up and deplete us to try to just get our attention. Of like, hey, sister, wake up to your divinity, like, wake up to your power. It's not taking magnesium, vitamin D, these things are great, but like, I'm like, I wanna wake women up to, like, their power, like, not
yeah.
just like, "Hey, like, let's just do a few supplements and, like, use organic tampons." I feel like the women in our communities are, like, ready for, like, more than that. Like, I'm like, "Yes, the
Yeah.
womb wants an organic tampon if you use tampons. The womb wants to freely." Okay, now we're, like, up-leveling our consciousness to use this to birth new a new world.
It's I feel like it's funny because it's like we when the journey in all of this, it's like, okay, organic tampons, okay, free bleeding, okay, let me transmute, like, ancestral trauma, like, that's just, like, the process we move
I'm,
through.
like, trying really hard to speak to the people that are, like, new at it. I just get so excited about all the levels. But
Yeah.
that is another thing that you taught me when I was working with you was free bleeding, and
Uh,
my womb loves it. I love it. I never thought I would love it, but it felt like my whole womb was like, "Stop plugging me up." Like, the energy actually needs a physical place to flow. First, if I have certain situations in which a free bleed will just absolutely not work. Actually really felt like it was like my periods got way less painful. It felt like the energy was literally getting clogged in the canal.
that's, like, another way of, like, suppression of it's, like, almost like suppression for suppression instead of up here, we're doing it down here, you know?
Yes.
And the way that I feel like when we put a tampon in, and often I know I use tampons here and there too because it's like, yeah, we can't always free bleed. There's occasions and stuff where we have to show up in the world and free bleeding just won't do the trick for that. But I like 90% of the time I free bleed because I actually was in a mushroom journey and I had a tampon in and I couldn't get into my body, into my journey because that was just like keeping me like so stuck. And So I took it out and I was like, "Oh my god," and everything just started moving, and I was like, "This is what we women every single month just plug something in there and kind of almost, like, pretend we're not bleeding, we just go along about our lives as if nothing's
Oh,
happening," right? I
man,
feel like
gonna do it, yeah.
totally, and I feel like that's kind of the essence of, like, well, yeah, the tampons in general. It's like you can just go on about like, if you think about commercials as like, "Oh, it's leak-free, you can still play tennis and go swimming and do all the things, and, like, you don't have to worry about your bleed." But it's, like, so disconnecting to actually connecting and honoring your bleed, when we're just putting a tampon and we're pretending it doesn't exist, right? So allowing yourself to the free bleed is there's just an honoring in that process. S Yeah, it also just really shifts your bleeds in general. Like, I have so many women that start free bleeding and then their cramps are not existent anymore after. They just, like, emotionally feel better, they feel more at ease, like, their stress levels go down, like, literally so many things that happen when they just start free bleeding. And when we say free bleeding, you don't have to just, like, free bleed in a field somewhere, like, you can use period panties, and catch your blood and not just, like, make everything crazy dirty or whatever, but yeah, definitely, if you've yet to free bleed, try it. Give yourself at least the first day or so of your bleed, like, if you can do it the first couple of days especially, see how it shifts something for you because I can promise you it probably will shift a lot for you in the way that you approach your whole entire body, you know?
Like, if you just think about the magic of the womb, like, it is literally a portal to the heavens. Like, life is created. That is how we are like, God has to be a woman because we just keep being we are the creators. Like, life wouldn't exist without the womb. And so when you think about just the spiritual or the energetic concept of plugging it, it just changes, like, why you would do that. Or even when I had right as I got married, I got an IUD, and my womb just did not like that, but I was not conscious enough at the time, like, I knew my body didn't like it, but I didn't know of any other way to, like, prevent pregnancy. I was just so terrified I would get pregnant on my honeymoon, and I didn't want to. And I
Yeah.
was just like, "That's what everyone says, you, like, get an IUD, and you just do the thing." And my body was like I was heavy bleeding, like, heavy, heavy bleeding for 3 months, like, insane pain through my womb, down my legs, into my feet. Like, I would take 8 ibuprofen, insane. And my massage therapist, she was so sweet at the time, she's like, "Katelyn, your womb is rejecting this." And I just remember feeling like, I don't know what else to do. And anyways, it ended up, my body ended up, adjusting to it. But when I went to get pregnant, I actually pulled out my IUD by myself, and not that anyone should do this, and I'm not recommending it, but
Yeah.
I wanted to pull it out myself because it felt empowering, like and I had a girlfriend do it, and she's like, "I just got down into, like, a deep Malasana squat and, like, wrapped the string around my finger and pulled it out." So that's what I did to myself, and it was very easy, and anyways, the moment that I pulled it out, I just started bawling. I was like, I'm here again." Like, it felt like my whole like, it was plugging up my life force. Like, I just was laid on the floor crying, and I was a hairdresser at the time, and I went to the salon, and I was like, "You guys, I think you just pulled a whole demon out of me, like, I'm here, it's me! Have you guys even been seeing me? Like, I didn't even know how suppressed I was with that thing inside of me, like, no one told me." And I just got so used to it, and I just felt like I was, like, so alive in myself again. And so I think that that same energy carries over into when you were like, "Caitlin, maybe you should try using free bleeding." It just the connections, I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, the
Yeah.
womb, she wants space. She is a living, breathing life force." So,
Yeah, I love that.
yeah, I think that that's
The whole IUD like, just birth control in general, I mean, I think that there's a time and place for Western medicine, and it's so dependent on the woman and her needs, and also, you probably got the IUD because you didn't know that you were able to cycle track and track your ovulation, and you were just scared of getting pregnant, and so I'm wondering, like, if that version of you would have known that there was a different way to approach it. I mean, you had to go through that process, obviously, you probably brought you to where you are now, but I really even like what we were talking about earlier, it's like so many women, they they have like this maybe they have like painful bleeds or a cycle that is irregular and you were saying like, oh, it's this call to like look at your womb closer and like she's like calling you in to pay more attention. But so many women will go to the doctors and they'll be like, oh, birth control, that's your only option. And then they don't hear the call because again, like we have a culture and society that doesn't teach us to hear the call, but put a band-aid solution on like birth control. And that's something that I'm really, I mean, I'm very advocate about knowing your options before choosing something like birth control because there are so many ways to use like different ways of tracking your I mean just using your cycle in a way where you're tracking your cycle to as contraception methods or also just like healing your cycle if you have and really painful cycle or irregular cycles. Like birth control won't obviously do that. It's going to just suppress it. It's going to put a band-aid solution on. You're going to get off of it and you're probably going to be exactly where you started. And on top of that, it's so bad for you. It's like it's a carcinogen. Like it's literally it's so bad for you.
Yeah.
So anyways, just if anyone's listening to this and they've been on birth control, they still are, like, just allowing yourself to be like, "What are my options here?" And, like, "How
Yeah.
can I hear the call to go deeper to, like, connect to my body and my womb and what she actually wants from me," and not just suppressing her and, like, holding her, like, almost like hostage in a way, you know?
Yeah.
And again, time and place for birth control, but I think it's been so carelessly prescribed to every woman that comes into that doctor's office. It makes me really, yeah, just sad for those women that didn't get the education that there's different options for them.
Yeah. And if you just look at the word birth control, it's like also it says control. So it gives you the subliminal message that you are not in control of your womb, that you are not in control of your body, and that you need an outside intervention because we've been taught through so much programming that the woman's body is like uncontrollable. Like she's just a wild feral thing that needs to be tamed. And when you have women that are tamed and suppressed, you have women that are easy to control. And you have a society that loses its literal life force because the society should be built around women because we are the creators. So I think about, again, if you are on birth control, there's absolutely no shame. It's just raising our awareness so that you can make the choice that you want to make to be the woman that you want to be.
Yeah.
And like just understanding that, even now, and I said this last night at this little womb ceremony that I was at, is that after I took out my IUD, I have 2 sons, and I have never done birth control since, and me and all my sisters, we had birth control, and all of us were like, "We will never do that again." That jacked me up, that was the worst. It just totally put a kink in my connection to my divinity, to my power, to my feminine power, all the things, but it's like now I still don't do any birth control. This is always a hot topic around my friends because I live in a community where a culture I live in Utah where it's just you have babies, and we're kind of just really raised to be women who marry and then birth children. And it's, so that's a whole other topic, but I still don't do any birth control. And I feel this call of like, I am in control of my womb. My womb is not in control of me. And so when I go to be intimate with my husband, I literally say a prayer. I'm like, the womb is closed to all human spirits who want a human body. Like, because it feels powerful for me because I am the queen of my body. My body, my womb is not down there making choices without me. Like, she lives within me and her and I co-create together. And so, anyways, my mom was here last week. She's like, I just think you need to she always wants me to have more kids. It's very hard for her that I'm not just like having 6 kids. And I'm like, the womb is closed, mom. Like, my womb is closed to all human spirits. But it is open for creativity and birthing new realities and, like, birthing new consciousness, templates of consciousness, and that's really what I wanna hone in my womb power for. And anyways, it was just an interesting topic last night because it's still kind of like, well, what do we wanna do if we don't wanna get pregnant, and how can we be sure if, like, our cycle tracking is on point and things like that. And to me, it's about, well, like, let's take our power back and not even like give our power to cycle tracking. Like, yes, those are tools that will inform us and help us make better choices and to be aware that we are still human and that like I'm not just like carelessly doing whatever I want in the moment that I'm ovulating, you know? I'm like, I'm
Yeah, totally.
aware, but I think it's about, and I think that you showcase this so well on your platform as well, is like helping women gain their power back, not just through cycle tracking, but through all these different aspects of their lives.
Yeah. Well, and it's like if someone has gone through decades or years of like being disconnected to their bodies, a tool such as like being able to track your cycle is really empowering because it just tells you more information about your body and just being like, I know that I'm about to ovulate. Okay, how can I best support myself? Or how can I maybe make sure that I'm not making choices that are going to lead me to pregnancy if I don't want pregnancy? Just like knowing that, like really finding the balance between like like taking self responsibility for yourself and understanding your body through using these tools that are free too. Like we can track our bodies in for free. Obviously there's tools such as using thermometer or using a ring like the Aura ring or thermometer or whatever it's called. But yeah, just being able to know that it's free for you to track your body. And that's like the coolest thing because that really brings that like self authority within your life again versus like you were saying, like outsourcing to authority figures that you think are that know best about your body. They don't. You know best about your body. And so yeah, allowing yourself to then come in, like this is why I love cycle tracking so much because it just brings that energy back into you you like come back into connection with yourself and be like, oh, like I know what my body needs, what my womb needs. Like I know that I don't need this external thing in order for me to feel safe that I'm not going to get pregnant. Like, no, I can just track my body and talk to my body and I trust it. I trust myself enough to know that. And there's not the need of like controlling it, but just connecting with it and connecting with like what is present. And just decisions that are like coming from a place of like your own authority and having self responsibility over your body in that way. So, yeah, it will shift so much if you're a woman that has yet to start cycle tracking, tapping into it and just start, even if you just start by writing down like daily what your body and your emotional energy is doing. You don't have to start tracking with the fertility awareness method if you don't feel ready for that yet. Happen to your body in the way it's shifting, and that in itself will shift so much for you. Ready? It's a really beautiful practice. Highly recommend.
What other ways, like, how have you seen cycle tracking, like, how have you seen that bleed into other parts of your life? Like, how have you seen that become more empowering into, like, being a businesswoman and you're are you single? You're
I'm single,
dating?
right?
Okay,
Well,
yes, like,
I'm
how
single.
have you seen that play out into, like, your
Mm-hmm.
life?
Well, I think with business, if we look at from that lens and field, like I used to be, before I started Bloom Bloom, I was doing network marketing, which was very much sales and very much like hitting certain quotas and hitting certain ranks, like very masculine in a way. I definitely overrid my body's needs a lot through that because I was just like trying to, hit the quotas, get the sales in, all of that. And so, yeah, it really burnt me out. Like I really got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I stopped working or stopped doing the network marketing business that I had built to six figures. I was like, I can't, my body's literally at, it's like, and I was young at the time. I was like 24, 25, and my body was like not doing well. I'm like, I'm too young to feel this way. No.
Mhm.
Anyways, and then I was younger than that. I was 23, like not doing well at 23. Anyways, and then I decided to take a year off from work and then I started cycle tracking in that year and I was like, holy shit, like this is changing my life, the way that I'm approaching my body and just like able to really connect with my body and not work against it. And that's when Bloom Bloom started on that journey because I was like, more women need to know this. Like, why don't we get taught this? So now the way that I approach my business is very like cyclical. Like I make sure I don't overextend myself, my luteal phase. I have in my calendar when I'm in what phase I'm in, and like I won't have more than like maybe two calls a day, like 2 to 3 times a week. Like very, very minimal compared to, like, my first half the cycle when I know I have more energy to give, or I block out my first 2 days of my bleed, and I have a very regular cycle, so I know exactly when I will bleed because I'm like, "This is my time to be by myself, and I can't be on calls during this time," you know? So things like that, like, I just bring it into the way I approach my business and, like, knowing also when to maybe launch a new offer, like, I won't be wanting to do that in my deep luteal or during my bleed, like, I will be doing that first half of my cycle, and so I really, like, tune into where my energy lies in that and really try my best to approach it in that way, and obviously, it doesn't always happen that I can't do anything the first 2 days of my bleed, like, sometimes I'm gonna have to show up for certain things, but as much as I can, you know, honoring it much as I can. And yeah, if I look at the way that I shifted within my, like, dating life, relationship life, or just relationship towards men, I feel like the more I've tuned into my body and learned my body, the more I'm like, I just have healthier boundaries. I have higher standards for myself. I like know that if a man doesn't respect my body or doesn't understand what it means to like worship the feminine almost, you know, which sounds like
Right.
whatever, but you know, it's like you feel when a man knows what that means and when he doesn't. And I feel like I've just been able to yeah, like just be like if that's not you, like I'm not gonna involve myself with you or at least just have yeah, just really be more intentional. Like my early 20s, I was very much just open to whatever came my way and like don't regret any of it. But at the same time, it definitely kept me in a loop when I was dating that was very toxic to my well-being and very wounded maiden, like very in my wounded ways and staying in the victimhood of things and not taking self-accountability and always blaming men for hurting me when I was just hurting myself over and over again because I didn't have boundaries.
Yeah.
And now, because I just am so connected to my body and like knowing myself and like know what feels good, what doesn't feel good, I'm connected to my sensuality more, my pleasure more. I just, like, won't entertain something that doesn't feel good in my system, like, I literally can't, it just doesn't happen, you know, so, it will bleed into every area of your life, the way when you start cycle tracking and just connecting to that rhythm within you, it's really magical the way that it happens, and it's just, like, the side effect, you don't even have to try that hard for it to do that, it will just magically happen, you know? Yeah, so there's some ways. I feel like there's so many different ways that I can dive into it,
I
but yeah.
know, I just want every woman I'm like, if I had your power like, I just think about when I was dating, like,
Mm,
just the impact that cycle tracking could have had in connecting to my womb because it is such crappy, yucky time of, like, women just constantly outsourcing, like, I have to do, I have to, like, go to school, and I have to figure out how to date, and this guy's texting me again, and I'm 34, so I've been married for 10 years. I got married when I was 24. Mm, you know, I have a nanny and she's 25, and so I, like, still get glimpses into that world, and I'm like, "What?" I can't because it's so like, I'm like my sister and her friends who are still single, like, I'm like, "We need to rise up, like, know who you are. Do not give that man 1 more ounce of your attention if he does not see the God given gift that you are to this earth." Like,
totally.
if I could go back and say that to myself, I would just, like, hold myself by the shoulders and, like, look me in the eyes and be like, "Rise up. Like, the man of your dreams is waiting for you, and he will not come to you by you just, like, continually abandoning yourself. Like, he will come to you quicker, and he will come to you in a more easeful way if you can just stand in your power, know what you like, know what you don't like, say no from this
Mm,
place of self-sovereignty and self-love of, like, "I will not." I love that you're like, "I will not entertain that. I will
mm,
not."
mhm.
Because it wastes your precious energy and life force.
Yeah, it really does. It is your life whereas you are giving away, and, like, yeah, I think the more you can just allow yourself to be like, "I'm just gonna protect m like, be in my energy and really feel like yeah, really understand what that even means. Because so many women I think don't even especially when we're single, it's like we're really always like, "Okay, like, maybe this man at the gym, maybe this," and it's just constantly you're almost, like, tying yourself to other people versus just being like, "Wait, it's" like, this is my analogy I love to use with my friends. We're always like, big egg energy, which essentially is we think about the ovulation egg, instead of big dick energy, we say big egg energy.
I immediately got it and I was like, I love it so much.
And, like, to the point that we were just talking about, like, being the egg and how important and how so many women think about, like, chasing instead of, like, being the egg, and when I say being the egg, when we think about ovulation, when we ovulate or when conception even happens, what happens at conception is not that the sperm, the fastest sperm gets to the egg, but it's the egg that chooses the sperm, right? We got this all wrong in sex ed. They taught us so wrong. But the egg chooses the chosen sperm and then releases something called chemoattractant. So it's like chemical messengers being like, hey, you are the chosen one, come fertilize me. And so the same goes for us women when we're dating. We need to be the egg and then choose the sperm that we want to have them pursue us, right? But if we're always trying to be the sperm, this isn't the natural order of the way that the feminine works. Yeah, it's like, and obviously inviting the men in that way, but doing that by being a magnet to it and not like chasing. There's a different energy there. And so another thing that my friends and I just we because we're both single and but both like we're having fun with it, but we're also like having our boundaries with it, right? And so we've been like playing around with being the egg, and then the other day I was like, I'm gonna handkerchief this situation. What this means is like you dropping a hint that you want someone to come pursue you, and like then you still being the egg though, but you're inviting them in. So it's like like, in the olden times when, like, a woman would pass a guy by and you just, like, drop a handkerchief and then the man would pick it up and think it's his idea,
Yeah.
like, thinks that he's saving your handkerchief, but actually you did that on purpose.
Yeah.
So, me and her both, like, played around with this the last, like, couple of weeks, and it works like a charm, but you're still the egg, and you think that you're making it think that it was their idea to pursue you, but you actually placed it there. So we women just, like, actually are always in the lead. Men think that they're leading, but we're actually leading, and we have to do it through your energy and just placing things strategically there, or not even strategically, I don't wanna say that because that feels so masculine, but, like, in a way where you're just being the magnet and just being like, "Come pursue me. I'm interested in you. Here's my energy's open to you. Be the sperm, and I will choose you,"
Yeah.
Um, that just that switch in my dating life has shifted so much because I used to be so like, I'm gonna go after what I want kind of thing, and now I do in a way that's just a lot more subtle and just a lot more like, if you're not about me, I'm not gonna entertain you. Like that feels like a waste of time. So subtle
Give us an
shifts there.
example of a handkerchief moment. Like, what would you do? I just know. I'm like, can feel like someone's gonna be like, but tell us what you're doing.
Okay. I I went to a couple Halloween parties last week. I never go out, but I did this time around. And I think within, like, these 2 parties, I had, like, 6 different guys ask for a number. I was like, "Wow, I was like, "Great. I love this." Just me being the egg, right? But they all just came up to me, and I was like, "Cool." All really cute guys, but I was like, "I don't know if any of these are, like, actually, like, suitors that I wanna pursue." So, I needed help with something, and I needed a truck, and I knew that every man they're all local here, so they all, like, have trucks, 100%. So I posted on my Instagram story, and I was like, "Hi, I need someone to help me with a truck." And to see who would come pursue me and actually help me. I had, I think 3 or 4 of them actually reach out to me, and the one that I actually decided to go with was the one who called me right away and was like, "When do you need me by? Let me know. I have an extra truck you can borrow." Anyways, so he reached out to me. He made it think it was his idea, and then he also, like, asked me out. So that was my
Just
handkerchief.
this. Mic drop, Rebecca. I love that you showed it because it really is changing the paradigm in which we
Mhm,
are entering into relationships, in which women walk about their life instead of like waiting for a man to choose her. We're always like, when is the guy gonna come and choose me? It's this like, I am empowered and I am a magnet and I get
mhm,
to subtly choose. And it's still like, I am married and it is still like that. Everything you're saying, I'm like, it still translate when you're in marriage, and I love
totally.
that. I mean, my dad last week was like, "So, Katie, you're, like, really pursuing all these feminine things, like, how has that impacted your marriage? Like, has it been hard on your marriage?" I just looked at him and I was like, "What? Like, me being in my power would make my marriage bad?" I'm like, "Ethan," my husband's name is Ethan. I'm like, "Ethan has literally never been more attracted to me, like, than he has, like, when I'm in my power," because
Uh-huh.
that is magnetic. A woman in her power can't help but be magnetic. Like, that's
Yeah,
just the role of things. The men support, they, like, give you the structure to the light bulb, but, like, the women is we are the energy and the light that exudes from the light bulb, and
yeah.
when a woman is turned on, she lights up a entire room, and
Mhm,
when a woman
mhm.
is waiting for a man to choose her, not she's not lit, she's
No,
just da
yeah.
in the dark corner,
Totally.
and so
Well, and also so last week when all this was happening, I was, like, ovulating, like, I was in my ovulation energy,
love
and
that
I
ovulation.
swear to God, every single time I'm ovulating, I just have men come up to me and, like, ask me out, or they're just really nice to me, like, do cute, like, favors, like, I had one time it was so weird, I was, like it wasn't weird, it's natural order, but I was, like, ovulating, and I had a man help me carry all my groceries to the car one day, and then, like, that evening something else was but they just so many random men, like, wanting to support me and help me that I didn't even know. They just saw that I needed help, and I didn't even say anything. But it's that ovulation energy. They just know, and when you tap into that as a woman, oh my god, like, it's so magnetic. I was like to my friend, I was like, "I think I, like, overdid it this time." Like, I had too many. I'm, like, overwhelmed with the amount of men in my field right now. Like, I think I'm all
You're like,
down a
"I
little bit.
practiced a little bit too much of my magic."
That was a lot, cause then, like, right after I ovulated, I was like my energy dipped, I was like, "I think I overdid it, like, I think I need to, like."
I don't have the energy to support this amount of magic I called
I
in.
know, this was a lot.
That's so awesome. Wow. I just feel like there are so many women who are gonna benefit, and just hearing how you walk about your life will give them so much, like, "I can do this." Like, I can be the queen of my life, whether I'm married, have kids, I'm single, like, it is so true, and the ovulation phase really is it's just
It's so
it's just the
magical.
best.
Yeah, yeah,
You'll
for
always know
sure.
when I'm ovulating because 'cause I'm on my Instagram way more. Sometimes I forget I'm ovulating, and then I'm like, "Oh my gosh." If anyone will always know I'm ovulating because I'm way more like, "Hello, world."
Totally, or, like, my whole camera roll is just full of
Yeah,
selfies, like, every single time, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm about to ovulate." And then when I'm in my luteal phase, I, like, don't show up on Instagram as much, I, like, don't wanna take pictures of myself, it's so crazy how that the switch every single time.
it
Yeah.
is, it is. So just as a recap for women, like cycle tracking, if you wanna start with this, what Rebecca said is so helpful. Just every day, cycle day 1, and you can just see how you're feeling. This was such a game changer for me. Like, what are the symptoms of my body? What's my discharge looking like? Like, what's my energy like? And then for me, I would also just be like, literally just tap into the womb and be like, what does she want me to know today? And just that's how I really started to regain that connection.
Yeah,
And then
totally.
another thing that was really helpful for me that Rebecca also taught me was just that it's in my calendar. It's on my my husband and I have a shared Google Calendar. It's just always at the top of like, here's because I'm also very regular. Here's when I'm bleeding, here's when I'm ovulating. And it's really helpful when I'm going to plan trips. And it's helpful for Ethan too, so he just can know how he can best support me. Like,
Yeah,
he knows when I'm bleeding, like, there are things that I'm just like, "I just don't like to do that when I'm bleeding, blah, blah, blah," and he just knows like, it prepares his mind.
yeah,
That was really
totally.
helpful, and then we'll wrap this up. The last thing that was helpful was the free bleeding, so check that out. And then the other thing that I love doing with my free bleed panties that you also taught me that's been so fun and, like, witchy is just I'll take my free bleed panties, I'll put them in, like, this old bucket I have of water, and I've really used that to just help like, sometimes I am bleeding on the full moon, so I, like, pour it into my grass or into, like, the dirt on the full moon and, like, whatever it is I'm releasing, I really imagine it going back to the earth, and I, like, lay my hands, like, "Please like, Mother Earth, please transmute this for the highest and goodest of, like, all who are meant to receive this, and me, and my lineage, and my family," and that's also been so fun and game
Yeah.
changing.
Totally. Watering your plants with your like, I do the same thing. I soak my period panties in water, and then I water my houseplants, and I swear to God, they do so much better because of all the stem cells in
Yeah,
your seed. So definitely try that out. Just I know it's very witchy, but it's really fun. It's a really,
yeah.
like, really nice way to honor and not discard your blade. Just be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna wash this out, or just gonna throw it away with a tampon," but then, like, "Hey, I'm actually gonna give it back to the earth," like you were saying. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like a beautiful cyclical relationship of being one with
exactly.
our surroundings, and it doesn't have to be witchy. I've actually seen on some gardening pages where they recommend that because you think about the what you're bleeding out, it's like that was going to be the foundation for new life. And so it really like it's a really great thing to do for your plants or your vegetables or whatever it
Scientifically,
is.
there's so many nutrients and stem cells in your bleed, like, use that, like, don't throw it away, you know?
Awesome, Rebecca. And you want to tell everyone where they can find you if you have any programs. I know you have a journal. Like, just if anyone wants to work with you or find you, give us the rundown.
Yeah, for sure. So I do offer one-on-one coaching. So if you ever want to do, you need support with your cycle, want to learn how to cycle track, all of that, I do one-on-one coaching for that. I do have a membership that you can plug yourself into. The monthly fee. We have a couple calls a month in there where we always have a different theme that we dive into. I have a whole entire like library of different just mini trainings and courses that you can tap into. I'm in the process of revamping my group coaching program, which is all about also learning about your cycle. And yeah, so I'm going to be launching that again this upcoming year. And then I have a cycle journal, which is really fun because I am such a proponent of not using apps, but like using a written tracker because that itself, instead of having an app tell you where you're at in your cycle, you tracking your own cycle in that way. So that is available on my website, which is bloomwomb.com. Yeah, that's those are my main offers. I do also do one-on-one brand coaching for anyone that is a woman that really wants to bring their brand alive in a feminine way and being able to support themselves in this masculine world through a way that actually is, like, really sustaining. I do one-on-one coaching for that too.
I love it. I think you guys, Rebecca's been so awesome to work with. She's so embodied, which is why I had her on. She just really lives what she preaches. And if you are interested in working with her, she is worth every dollar. So
Mhm.
I
Thank you,
can't
though.
recommend it enough.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
I'm
so
so
much for being with us here
Yeah.
today. Is there anything else you want to leave the crowd with? Anything else burning on your heart?
Ooh, there's so many things I could say, but honestly, main thing, if you haven't started cycle tracking yet, start and doing it in a way where you're not using an app, but you start the written tracking journey for yourself. Like that will shift so much. And, yeah, will just connect you to your body in a way that you probably have never experienced before if you're new to cycle tracking. Yeah, definitely tap into that. But thank you so much for having me, Caitlin. It was so
Yes,
cool to
thank you
think
so
about all
much
these
for
things.
being here. You're such a
Yeah.
little magic soul, so I'm so happy.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining me today. If this episode spoke to your heart, please share it with another woman on her journey. And until next time, stay rooted in your humanity and devoted to your becoming.